Yo, I'm Bob. Into Marvel, happen to be totally blind since birth, talking about X-Men, the animated series, Season 4, Episode 6, Courage. Or if you want to pronounce it the way the Cowardly Lion pronounces it, I guess you could call it Courage. This one premiered on September 23rd in 1995. It's episode 51 of the animated series, if you're watching it chronologically. Spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen the episode, I'd advise you to go watch it before watching this review, or you're going to get spoiled. That being said, jumping right in, and you were warned. So in the last episode, we got to see the Shadow King making a comeback, and he had an episode in season 2. And in this episode, we get to see Morph making a comeback. We haven't seen Morph since Reunion Parts 1 and 2, the season 2 finale. And at the end of Reunion, Professor Xavier lets the X-Men and the audience know that the device controlling Morph could be removed, but it's going to take Morph quite a bit longer to work through what Mr. Sinister had put them through. Not only that, but Morph hadn't even dealt with the near unaliving experience from the Sentinels. Mr. Sinister had preyed on Morph's anger, Morph's feelings of abandonment, and they'd not really worked through all that. So here we have Morph and Moira McTaggart on Muir Island. And Moira's trying to convince Morph, hey, you've done wonderfully, but I don't know if going back to the X-Men is the best thing. You might think about it, but Morph being Morph is just dropping quips right and left, shapeshifting into Beast and Cyclops. Morph feels like they're ready to go back to the X-Men. So that's what Morph's going to do. And I gotta say, I love jokey Morph. I think Dark Morph from season 2 was very, well, I mean, no pun intended, very sinister, very unsettling, as Dark Morph should be. But when I saw this episode, I think I saw it when it premiered, I loved seeing the character I was introduced to in Night of the Sentinels Parts 1 and 2. Because, yeah, Morph has worked through quite a lot of that Sentinel and Sinister trauma, I'm sure, but, I mean, there's still a lot to work through. And, of course, the first villains that Morph is going to have to deal with right out of the gate, it's not going to be Sabretooth. It's not going to be Omega Red. It's not going to be the Friends of Humanity. Oh, no. The writers have Morph dealing with the Sentinels right away because, well, the Marvel Universe is unspeakably cruel. So they're going to have to deal with the Sentinels right away. So right at the beginning of the episode, yeah, we see the Sentinels showing up to the, I guess, some kind of polymer factory, and they steal a super plastic polymer thing. They explain the science in the episode. It's supposed to give Master Mold super skin. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. Yeah, it's a really powerful, I think, some kind of plastic, and it does make sense that it would be some kind of plastic because it's got to be resistant to Magneto, so the Sentinels are thinking ahead. And we haven't seen Master Mold since the end of season 1, so it was awesome to see this character back. I think he's just ahead in this episode. I don't know whether or not he's on spider legs. He sounds like he's clattering around on something at some point. I don't know if it's just a disembodied head. How in the heck does he look around? The characters have to be carried in front of him for him to, look directly at them? Or does he kind of, clatter around on some kind of little assembly to talk to people? I don't know, because there's no audio description to these older episodes. I just know that at least I think my brother described him as just a head in this episode. He just kind of talks to the characters here as he's reprogramming the Sentinels to seek out Trask and Gyrick because he wants Xavier. He's going to, implant cybernetics in Xavier's brain. I think he's trying to transfer his brain over to Xavier's brain so he can be the ultimate unaliving machine. It's a way to pay Xavier back for destroying his body. He wants to capture Gyrick and Trask because he feels like they betrayed him, and he just wants the use of their hands, as he says. He wants to make them his slave labor force. So when the X-Men get the alerts, and Xavier has, I don't know if it's in the middle of the night or early morning or what, but he's definitely surprised all of them. And there's a cake when they show up. I don't know if it's in the war room or not. I don't know the layout of the mansion either, because there are no audio descriptions to these older episodes. But there's apparently a cake. I got that from the context clues and the character dialogue, all that good stuff. And there's one comment that Cyclops makes. He says something like, well, if it's for Gambit and Rogue, you're a week early. And I'm like, what? Why do Gambit and Rogue deserve a cake? They're not dating, are they? That's what I thought when I was a kid watching this for the first time. And then I was like, oh, maybe Cyclops is just dating about Gambit and Rogue possibly having a thing. You know, Cyclops occasionally dropping a joke, which I like a lot, actually. It's kind of nice to see him quipping every now and again. But yeah, Morph walks in, and everyone is glad to see this character. And Morph is joking around, shape-shifting into, I think we get a wrestler, we get a scientist, because they find out that the facility has been attacked by terrorists. I think that humans are already blaming mutants for this, which I like. I mean, of course, the media is automatically going to blame mutants when it's, the Sentinels in actuality. So Wolverine and Morph, I like where they have to go on this fact-finding mission. They got to try to gather as much information as they can, and that's when Wolverine finds out, uh-oh, Sentinels were responsible. He, of course, detects this because of his super sense of smell, which... I mean, he is, I'd say, my favorite bloodhound in all of Marvel. I mean, nobody can sniff him out like Wolverine can. And Wolverine is trying to keep this from Morph, because Wolverine is understandably concerned about all Morph has had to go through, all the trauma, not only from Sinister, but from the Sentinels. I mean, he was also there when Morph had, according to everybody there at the scene, been unalived. Everybody thought he was gone. So Wolverine is trying to keep that from Morph. And, Morph finds out not too long after. And Morph gets kind of ticked off at Wolverine, understandably, because I wouldn't want that kept from me either. But at the same time, I get why Wolverine has done this. And Wolverine just wants the best for his buddy. He's glad to have Morph back on the team, and I don't think Wolverine wants him to leave. He's like, I always imagine him thinking, what if he finds out? What if he can't take it? What if I have to say, see you later again? I mean, Wolverine said that Morph was the only person on the team that can make him laugh, and I think that means a pretty good bit to Wolverine, I think Wolverine likes a good laugh every now and again, maybe more than just every now and again. So, I get the sense that Logan really doesn't feel quite at home no matter where he is. I think he's got to be around a certain type of person. I don't know, but Morph apparently kind of takes a bit of the edge off. I mean, there's a lot of edginess to take off of this character. So yeah, he's just, I think, happy to have Morph back and doesn't really want him leaving again. Pause video, space. Then you have the attack on the mansion. Doesn't last too long. They capture Xavier because, Master Mold wants to, I guess, implant his brain into Xavier's. And he wants to capture Trask and Gyrick, use their hands to perform the operation, probably build more Sentinels too. I like Master Mold's new voice. In season 1, he sounded like all the other Sentinels. He had that deep, booming, super mall cop kind of voice. And now he's more, he's kind of British in this episode. I'm like, man, you kind of doing something with your with your voice processor, man. What are you doing, dude? Are you evolving? I guess you might be. That's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, it's a different voice actor doing Master Mold's voice, but I like that. I like that a lot, actually. I get the sense that Master Mold as a kind of AI is moving up in the world. He is kind of evolving here. He's real, kind of snooty toward Xavier, and he's definitely holding a grudge against Gyrick and Trask, and these two goofballs are hiding out in some jungle somewhere, trying to catch and cook fish. Apparently, they've escaped from whatever punishment would have been delivered unto them after season 1. They've just kind of been off the grid for a while, and they get captured. You have Morph being the only one to determine where the location is. He's able to glean this from, I don't know what's left behind from the Sentinel attack. Maybe somebody's central processing unit, maybe a Sentinel head, maybe some kind of disc, something from a Sentinel that allows Morph to track down Master Mold and the other Sentinels. And, well, I don't really know what's going on in the big fight scene, because no audio description, but I still really love X-Men. So I enjoyed it. I think Morph turns into... Well, I know he turns into Sabretooth because they're using the stock Sabretooth growls that they used since season 1. So I recognize Sabretooth screams. And I think before that he might have been a Sentinel, but then again he could have been Omega Red. I don't know, because a lot of the servo motor sound effects from these characters, I think they're pretty similar. So maybe he did turn into a Sentinel. It would make sense. To survive a war, you got to become war, as Rambo says. So, you have Master Mold underestimating Morph, and he is put out to pasture at the end of the episode, as far as we know. And, of course, Morph decides that they're going to need more time to work through the whole Sentinel thing. Because when Xavier was taken, Morph felt really bad about freezing up. And you have Wolverine who, still wants Morph to stay. If I had a really good buddy like Morph too, yeah, I'd want that. And that's... really sucks for Logan because, he's going to be grumpy some more. Well, I mean, I think he would be perpetually grumpy anyway. But he decides to head back to Muir Island. And we don't see him again until, at least I don't think we see him again, barring silent cameos, until graduation day. And Xavier being Xavier at the end of the episode is ever the optimist, because... he's consoling Wolverine. He's like, man, don't worry about it. Morph is going to come back because Morph's always going to be an X-Man. And I think I give this one, say, probably maybe a 9.5 out of 10. I kind of wish it had been a bit longer because I've always liked this character. I've always liked Morph as a shapeshifter fighting for the good guys. I mean, we've seen Mystique in I don't know how many episodes, and we get to see Morph using their antics for evil in season 2, but now Morph's back fighting for the team for just an episode, and that's it. So I was always kind of bummed out too when Morph decided that they weren't ready at the end of the episode and just went back to Muir Island for a while. But I had a good time with this one. I don't know what it would take for Disney Plus to go in and do tracks for the older episodes, but stuff like, Master Mold's severed head and the characters Morph was shapeshifting into in this episode, I would have loved 80 tracks when I was a kid. This one, though, I think I watched it to the point where the VHS I taped it on got eaten by the VCR, and I had to maybe tape it again I taped this one around Christmas of 1995. That's when I got to tape it for the first time. I think I did see it when it premiered, but I wouldn't tape it until like a couple Saturdays before Christmas. It was December, I know that for sure, and it was during reruns. So I got a chance to tape it, then I lost it, then I think I taped it again, and now of course it's available to stream whenever I want. So it was one of my favorite episodes, just because of, I think not just because of Morph, but because of Master Mold kind of, sort of maybe evolving and getting a new creepy kind of voice instead of his big super god sentinel voice. Now he just sounds kind of stuck up, which I always loved. I love that they gave him a new voice in the episode. Yeah, so next time we're going to be talking about Secrets Not Long Buried, and that is a Cyclops solo episode. We don't get too many of those in the animated series. I think we got one with No Mutant is an Island. We get one with Secrets Not Long Buried. Oh, we also got one with Orphan's End. So I think we got like 3. I think Wolverine might have gotten possibly 3, maybe 4. He doesn't have as many solo episodes as fans think. I think a lot of these episodes really focused on, various characters, more of, the X-Men working together as a team. But when you would get one-off episodes, you would get, the occasional solo episode. And this one, we got to see more of Morph, which I liked. And I really do like the Cyclops episodes too, because getting to see him on his own, it's a rare thing in the animated series. He's just kind of team leader, and he's trying to look out for everybody. So I always loved the Cyclops solo episode. So I can't wait to get into Secrets Not Long Buried in the next episode review. So until then. Stop taking